Hello, I'm Dave Allen from Nocona, Texas. I'll be judging the junior steers and heifers this year at the 2021 Arizona National. I've been judging cattle since the early 90s. My one piece of advice for exhibitors would be work hard. No matter what animal you buy or how you go about things, you've got to work hard, and that means every day, the grind, the feeding, the practicing, the rinsing. That's what it's all about, and you'll appreciate it more as you get older, the ability just to get out there and work. My perfect steer would be the combination, and that's kind of the way I judge cattle. I want cattle with an adequate amount of muscle, an adequate amount of rib shape and body. I want them to be sound on their feet and legs, but with that it's a show, and I want one that's straight in their lines and clean through their front end, really good in their angles. I think it's that total combination that makes a great one, and then along with that we want some good presentation and good showmanship. My perfect heifer would be slightly different than the perfect steer because they're a breeding animal. So muscle to me is not as important. Good cattle, the females look like females and the males look like males, and so I can back off on the muscle a little bit, but I still want that perfect balance, big body, really sound feet and legs. I think the biggest thing as far as if you want a fair shake is go out there, know where you're going, know what you're doing, and make sure you know how to set up your animal to the best of its ability. My top showmanship tip would be practice at home. You know, it's pretty obvious when you get out there who has worked with their animals before they got there, but if you've been practicing at home and you can walk your animal into it, show the judge a good look and do it quickly, I think that's the most important.
And I believe we just had this one class, so these first two steers will be your champion and reserve British. And really three extremely nice cattle to lead off our show today. A shorthorn steer that wins, just a powerful, big-bodied, eye-appealing kind of a calf. A lot of advantages relative to the class. One, I think structurally is acceptable. He gets out, he travels, he's long enough in his stride. He maybe could just flex a little better in terms of his hind leg, but I think he's acceptable in that regard. But an overpowering, big hip, square rump kind of a steer with a big top, just enough belly in him, a nice look. I think one that comes to the top of the class pretty easily for me. The black steer in second, in terms of just look and profile, he's the neatest looking one out here. His neck comes out of his shoulder. He's great in terms of his body depth. Really nice up into his forerib, beautiful in his hip design and hind leg. As we compare him to the class winner, he doesn't have as much shape in his top. He's not as wide and thick through the center part of his quarter. I think another one that's sure acceptable in terms of the way he goes. He just needs to be wider and stouter, have more shape to compete with the steer that beats him today. The young lady in third's got a good calf, and in terms of carcass, he's probably the nicest in terms of handle. He's just a little bit farther along than the two ahead of him. I like that about him. He's got a big top in him. You can grab a hold of it. He's got a lot of shape. He's one where we'd like to change him. We set him in motion. He's a little tighter in his spine, a little straighter on both ends of his skeleton in terms of the way he goes. Maybe could use just a shot of center body in him, but still that's a good calf that carcass-wise has the right finish. He's heavy muscled, a good individual. We'd just like to see him go a little better to compete with the two steers at the top of the class. But very nice class in the British division. That'd be your champion reserve British, and I think a high quality trio to start our show off today.
Congratulations to your champion, British market steer belonging to entry number 1637, Brian Clevenger from Texas. Your reserve British market steer belongs to entry number 30, Andrew Nunez of Pittsburgh, California. And rounding up the class will be entry number 816, Colin Dickinson of Johnson, Kansas.
Well, just a single entry over here on our Hereford side, but really a nice female that could have stood a lot more competition in this.
on our steer side, if we start the black show or first classic steers, pretty nice individuals. I think some give and take between them. They all have advantages relative to the class. But the steer that's the most complete, the calf with the white stripe on his side directly hit me. He's the one that is the most complete, the most of the best, a very nicely balanced, big-bodied steer that's got some top in him. He's about right in terms of his cover when you get your hands on him. You get him out on the profile, he's clean fronted, he's big bodied, he's nice in the design of his hip. You set him in motion, he covers the ground adequately, maybe gives Bill just an inch or two longer on his stride to be perfect, but I think he's sound enough in his makeup. He is not the heaviest muscled steer in the class, but I think he's adequate in that regard and very, very complete in the way he's made. The calf in second is long bodied, he's got some shape, he's a real heavy structured, big footed calf that gets out on a long stride. He needs a shot more on him in terms of condition. He's a calf that could use just a little bit of rear rib and flank as we get him out on the profile. But I think his advantage in structure is where he beats the steer in third. The calf end of the class, the heaviest muscled steer in the class. He's got a big back, he's real deep in his quarter, really wide through his stifle, a heavy structured kind of a steer. He's one we set him in motion. He's awfully tight off his hind end, got a bit of a gimp on one side. He's a calf that could use a bit more rear rib and flank, especially as we compare him to our class winner. I think if we could free that one up in the way he goes, he would push maybe to second place, but today he's just got to be a little better going to get him any higher in the class.
Congratulations to entry number 1058, Bailey Cannon of Muscatine, Iowa. In second place, entry number 1612, Sheridan Blanco, St. Francis, Kansas. And rounding up the class will be entry number 5374, Taylor Stewart of Philadelphia, Oklahoma. Progress Cattle, as well as the Junior Heifer Show this year. Please welcome Mr. Dave Allen of Dakota, Texas.
Black Steer Show. An outstanding class from top to bottom. 4 really good steers, but I think when you get it down to it, 2 just outstanding calves on the top end. And as good as they both are, there's a little bit of give and take between them. The calf that wins the class in terms of balance and profile, just cookie cutter perfect when you get him out here in the ring in terms of his neck, his top line, his hind leg. He's adequate in his body depth. I mean, in a perfect world, you might take a shot more, but that one's just so nice when you get him out on the profile. You get behind him, he's huge in his hip, and it carries down, and he's got a big stifle in him. Handle him. I think the calf's acceptable in terms of finish. A shot more wouldn't hurt him, but he's acceptable in that regard. He's got some top, and just beautiful when you get him out on the profile. You set him in motion. He's got some length of stride. I think he's fine in that regard. He does drop his pins a little bit when he's walking, and you'd like to change that. But really an outstanding calf to lead this class. And taking nothing away from the steer in second, because that one's really, really good. Another one that's beautifully balanced, beautifully presented kind of steer. He's a little shorter necked and shorter bodied than our class winner, so he's not quite as extreme in his look when you get him out here. But he probably has an advantage in terms of top. When you get your hands on him, he's got a bit more shape. I don't know if he's as big and square in his quarter, but he's got a shot more top in him. He's another steer that's really good in terms of his feet and legs. If we're to criticize him, just when you get him out on the profile, he's just a little lower in his pin set, and he's one maybe like to change the way his head is designed. But 2 outstanding steers, a ton of quality in that pair. Really nice market-ready calf in third. A calf that's got some finish, he's got some body, he's adequate in terms of his movement. He's not as neat up through his front 1/3 as the 2 steers that are ahead of him today. He's not as extra stout when you get behind him, but he's still got plenty of muscle. A quality calf, a nice market steer, just ran into 2 real good ones in this class today. The calf in third is an eye-appealing steer. The young man does a nice job of showing him. He's a calf that's got some muscle shape as you handle his top. You can see it in his quarter when you set him in motion. He's not as far along, and you'd like to see a little more condition. You get your hands on him, and that's how he reads as well. I think with that, he could just use a little more body, but still a nice individual. Just ran into a real tough class today. The most eye-appealing, nicest balanced steer. He's the soundest steer of the group. He's sure adequate in terms of muscularity. He's adequate in terms of his finish. He's the good-looking, problem-free steer, and he's pretty easy for me in this class. Then I think it gets real tough. The steer in second's the best handling steer in terms of his finish. He's got some top in him. He's got some body. He's the second best steer in terms of his structure. He's probably got the least hair of any steer in the class, so maybe he doesn't look as big-legged or as woofy, I guess you would say. But that calf's got some mass to him. He's good enough looking. He's very sound, and probably the best steer in the class in terms of when you get your hands on him and feel his finish and the amount of top that he has. The calf in third is really attractive when you get him out on the side view. He's long-bodied, but he's got some shape to his rib. Just beautiful in terms of his lines. Great job in terms of presentation. You set him in motion and he gets out there and he reaches from the side and he's fine, and you get behind him, he comes in at his hocks. He's not just right when he goes away from you, and then you get your hands on him and he gets pretty bare over his last few ribs. Sure like to change that about him, but my hat's off to him. Great job, and really a good looking calf, very well presented. He's just not quite there for me in terms of his condition and his structure off of his hind leg. Good steer coming in fourth, and another one on the stand is very impressive. He's big boned, he's got some muscle, he's got enough body. You set him in motion, he gets a little tight and short in both ends of his skeleton. You compare him to some of the other steers in the class, maybe not quite as extended in his front 1/3. But that calf's a good steer with body and muscle, very nicely presented. Just like to see him go a little easier today. And we have this steer at the end of the class, and a lot of times you'd have a calf like this win a class. He just ran into a real tough class today. Another one that's excellent in terms of his presentation, a calf that balances up pretty nice when you get him on the profile. You compare him to some of the others, he gives up a little muscle, but the biggest reason that he ends up where he does is he's one of those, again, that struggles a little bit off both ends of his skeleton. He's a little straighter, more upright in his shoulder, doesn't reach quite as far in terms of his stride. A good calf, just like to see him move a little freer today, but a really nice class of steers. Hats off to all these exhibitors on their presentation and showmanship as well.
Congratulations over on the Open Hereford Show to your reserve champion belongs from entry number 4487, Bryce Peters of Marysville, California. Over in the Market Steer Show Class 4, congratulations to entry number, ear tag number 166, Charlie Jones of Gridley, Illinois. In second place, tag number 200, Styles Patton of Porterville, Texas.
14 weight black steers, and again another really nice class from top to bottom. A good set of steers, some subtle differences between them. The calf that wins the class does so pretty easily for me. You know, first off, he's the soundest of the three, and we get into these steers of this weight and this much power, and for a calf to get out and go like he does is very, very impressive. With that, he's a big-bodied steer. He's nice enough up through his front end. He's really nice the way his neck comes out of his shoulder. You get your hands on him. He's the best handling steer in the class in terms of his condition. And for to nitpick him, he's probably not the biggest backbone in terms of shape, but he's sure got enough muscle in him to go with his balance and his structure in the handle that he has. The calf in second, another muscular steer, maybe a little shorter body than the two behind him, and I think that's almost a positive in that calf. He's big ribbed. He's one that gets a little plainer up in his head. He's a little straighter in his angles, yet when we set him in motion, I think he's still acceptable in his stride. A good calf, but just maybe not the freedom of movement that we see in the calf that wins. Maybe not quite as perfect in terms of his handle, but a good steer, a real nice pair up there on the top end. A calf coming in third is a stout calf, big bone, big footed kind of a steer, stout featured individual. It's pretty nicely balanced when you get out on the side view. Just got a little chest in him, gets a little coarser and plainer in terms of his neck and head. Just a little more mature in that regard. A good steer, just a little far gone for me in terms of his maturity. And then we get into a really long-bodied, heavy structured steer at the end of the class. Very attractive in terms of his profile. I'd like to see more rib and forerib in this calf as we compare him to some of those ahead of him. You get behind him, I think he tapers as you read him down, as you go down into his stifle, but still very attractive, nicely presented steer. Just the one, again, that just ran into a tough class today.
Congratulations to your class winner. Tag number 197, Matty Orey from Brock, Texas. Entry number 179, Addie Mass from Round Top, Texas. In third, tag number 119, Macy Ray Cantu of Neds, Texas. And rounding up the class will be tag number 213, Stetson Roethlisberger of Bonnell, Utah. We will now be bringing in all of our first and second place class winners in the black division of the Junior Market Steer Show. We're going to be looking for tag number 128, Bailey Danner of Muskingum, Ohio. In second place, working from that class, we're going to be looking for tag number 112. Shadron Blanca of Frank St. Francis, Kansas. And tag number 214, Kendall Rust of Barone, Texas. In second place from that class will be tag 219, Aubrey Sturgeon of Rocky, Oklahoma. From class 4, tag number 166, Charlie Jones of Gridley, Illinois. Tag 200, Styles Patton of Fordville, Texas. From class 5, entry number, or tag number 197, Matty Orey from Brock, Texas. And tag number 179, Addie Mass of Round Top, Texas.
back out here with these 13 plus weight steers, and maybe he's just not quite as Wolfie stout. I don't think he moves quite as nice as these steers, but still a good quality calf. But I think when you get them back out here, these steers at the 13 plus mark are really outstanding. And there's 3 class winners here that are really good. There's a couple of second place steers that are sure worth a look as well. So I think a great set of steers in this black division, and I think you can justify several different calves for different reasons. You get the steer from the second class, probably in terms of just visual. You get him out here on the stand, I mean, he's pretty intriguing with his length of front, his shape, the look that he has when you get out on the profile. He's adequate in terms of his body depth. You get behind him, he just blows apart in terms of his hip and shape down into his stifle. You know, you get him in motion, and that's where you would change him a little bit. He wants to duck his pins, maybe not quite as perfect in his spine as the 2 steers behind him, but on the stand, just really an interesting individual that has that extra power and extra look. One that you should definitely have to consider when you get him out here. The steer from the second class, I love him in terms of his balance, a sound structured calf that's good in his lines. He's adequate in his muscle, he's adequate in his body, but beautiful in his look. One that handles, he's sure acceptable for me in terms of condition. He's not the biggest back going, but I think he's acceptable in that regard. Just a real complete individual with a nice look. If you're going to nitpick on him, probably gets a little face. He probably gets a little bit long in his face for me in a perfect world. Not. Sorry about that. But I think another. Okay, but I think another one, that class 3 steer is definitely another one of the contenders out here. We get to the steer in the last class, and he's a little bit different than the 2 ahead of him. He's a bigger bodied kind of a calf, probably more ideal in terms of his handle when it comes to condition. Really nice in terms of that rib shape, and I like that about him. And really nice when you get him out on the move. Probably handles his hind leg as well as any steer out here in this lineup. If you're going to nitpick him, he will roll his front feet in just a little bit, and I don't know that he has as much or big a hip in him as the 2 steers ahead of him. But I like his functionality and his structure and his body, and I really like the way he handles when you get your hands on him in terms of his finish. So 3 real good steers and a couple in the second place lineup that are definitely worthy of being in contention. So I'll take one more look and show you the 2 that suit me best. But congratulations, a great set of steers in this black division.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to begin our open miniature Hereford show. In the ring now, we have Class 1, 8 and under lightweight prospect steers. We have, welcome to the ring, entry number 4190, Adela Jackson of Carter, Texas.
Just a single entry out here, but a nice made little calf that the young lady has. One that's sure attractive. I like his look in terms of balance and symmetry from a profile. He's one that's attractive there from his shoulder forward in terms of having some added length and extension. I think he's more than adequate in terms of his width and power when you get in behind him. There's a lot of future to this little calf. Young lady does an exceptional job out here. Let's congratulate her as she walks out the ring.
Congratulations to your 2021 miniature Hereford steer. Belongs to entry number 4190, Adela Jackson of Carter, Texas. We will now be, after the quick little headshot, congratulations to entry number 214 in your division champion belongs to Kendall Rust of Rome, Texas. They're going to be bringing in the second place individual from that class. Aubrey Sturgeon of Rocky, Oklahoma. On the open cattle side, welcome to the ring in our miniature Hereford show. Class 9, 8 and under summer yearling heifers calved August through October of 2020. We are looking for entry number 4191, Adeline Jackson of Carbon, Texas. And entry number 480, Carter Sanchez of Gridley, California. Congratulations to your reserve division block champion. Belongs to tag number 166, Charlie Jones of Gridley, Illinois.
it's really a nice market-ready lightweight steer to win the class. And when you get your hands on him, he's big top. He's got enough condition. You get him out, he balances up pretty well in terms of his side view profile. He's got some muscle when you get in behind him, a heavier structured kind of a steer than the steer in second. Maybe gets a little shorter out of his hip and just a little restricted down his pastern. We set him in motion, but still a quality calf, and I like the way he handles him. A good calf to win the class. The steer in second is real clean made, eye appealing steer. One that's, you get your hands on him, he's got more top in him than you would think. He's got some expression and shape. He probably needs a shot more into condition and maturity to get to his end point. But really a clean made, eye appealing calf, still a quality steer. Probably just not as ready today as the calf that wins, just not as stout, not as much too.
Congratulations to your class winner, tag 191, Caitlin Nitz of Big Leon, Texas. And rounding up class will be tag number 118, Addison Wheelwright of Wilcox, Arizona.
Over here on our open side, a pair of heifers in this particular class that are nice.
that's still attractive when you get him out on the profile. You get your hands on him, he's the most market ready steer class, really smooth over those last few ribs. You know, I think he's adequate in terms of shape. He's not the most expressive muscled steer we've seen today, but he's sure adequate in that regard. But I think he's pretty dominating when you put his body and his structure and his balance along with his handle. The steer, I think second and third to me is where it gets close, and that's where the debate is. The steer in second's a bigger bodied steer. He's a softer handling steer. I think he even handles with a shot more shape up over his top. He's one that gets a little round out of his hip and straighten his hock. I'd like to change that. And then one that tapers down to the base of his quarter. But I think his advantage in his handle and his rib shape is what puts him over the steer in third. The steer in third is impressive in terms of his look. He is long-bodied and good-looking, ultra clean in his makeup, pretty good in terms of his feet and legs when we set him in motion. He bothers me a bit in his spine. He wants to rotate up in his loin when we get him on the go. And then I think the difference for me, why he wasn't second and then up third, is you get your hands on him. He's a calf that needs more condition relative to his frame size and his weight. But really impressive in terms of his look, and a calf that's got some muscle shape as well. The calf at the end of the class, I like the fact that he's moderate and he's easy feeding and he's huge in his body. He's got a big top in him and he's right in terms of his handle. He's one that gets a little more jammed together in terms of his side view profile, but the biggest reason he ends up fourth is feet and legs. We set him in motion. He's a little straight and short off both ends as he moves. Still a good calf with some good things about him. Just wish he moved freer and easier today. heavyweight red class. Three good individuals, some give and take, I think, as you look at these steers. And I think it can get debatable on these top two. They both have some advantages relative to the class. The steer that wins, he's the eye-appealing show steer of the class. He's one that you get your hands on him and he actually handles pretty nice. I was afraid just looking at him, maybe he didn't have enough on him, but he handles pretty nice. I think he's adequate in terms of his muscle, really nice in terms of balance and profile. We set him in motion. I wish he'd step out with more authority off his hind leg. He doesn't quite reach and he gets just a little tight in his pasturing, but I think he's acceptable in that regard. And one that just has a tremendous look when you get him out on the profile. But steering second is really big back when you get your hands on him. He's acceptable in terms of his finish. He's a calf that might be a little more correct in terms of the design of his front leg and the way he sits down off of his front end. He's one that reaches off his hind leg, and I like that about him, but you get behind him and he sure gets outside of his skeleton, and that's probably the reason that I don't think that he can get to first place. But really a nice cow. Just wish he'd change the way he goes off that hind leg in terms of getting outside of his skeleton. Then he's one maybe in terms of balance, he gets a little deeper in his chest as we read him back to his flank. Steering third is a good, useful calf. He's got some body. He's a clean-fronted individual. I don't know if he's a stout in terms of muscle and shape. When you get your hands on him, he's a little flatter down his top line. He could use a bit more condition as you handle him down into his rib. Wants to pinch up into his forerib, but still a good calf with some bulk to his center body. And once today,
I would like to make a quick correction and my apologies. Your 2021 miniature Hereford Reserve
steers that's come through here, not a ton of numbers, but a lot of nice steers. They get them back out here in the steer that won the lightweight class. Just a nice market ready lightweight. It's very well presented and nicely shown. Big top cap that handles with a lot of shape behind his shoulder. He's nice in terms of his finish when you get your hands on him. He's a pretty well balanced calf. Maybe gets a little deep in his chest floor, but still a quality steer. If we're to nitpick him, he gets a little rounder out of his hip when we set him in motion, just a little tighter in his hamstring when he sits down at the ground. But I think still a real nice individual. The calf that won the second class, I love his balance and I really like his structure. I like the way his rib is designed. He's good in his forerib. He's got some depth of body and spring to his rib cage. Just has that easy feeding look. And you set him out in motion, and he's probably in the breed, probably the best moving steer in the breed. He's real true off both ends. He's long in his stride. He's a calf, you get your hands on him. He's right in terms of his finish. He is probably not the most expressive steer that we've seen today, but he's got plenty of muscle. That's definitely not a problem. I think a quality calf to win that middleweight class. And then we have an eye-appealing calf that won the last. He's long-fronted, really nice in terms of his lines. He's got enough shape. We get emotion, like we said, maybe could set his hind leg down with a little more authority, wants to be a little tighter on that posture and maybe not reach as nicely as the steer directly ahead of him, but still a nice individual with a nice look and adequate in terms of his shape. So I think to me that there's one steer that I really like in this red division, and then I think it gets a little closer for reserve. I'll show you. I'll show you the two I like best today, but congratulations to these exhibitors. Another nice set of cattle in our steer show today.
All miniature Hereford bulls, please be ringside. Please be ringside. Congratulations, your division champion in the market steer class is going to be Cade Lenny of Fredericksburg, Texas. You're going to be bringing back in the second place individual, Skylar Sturgeon of Hydro, Oklahoma. Class 9 smoke division cat market steers, please be ringside. Class 9 smoke division, please be ringside. All miniature Hereford bulls, please be ringside.
We bring the second place steers in that middleweight class out here. Here's one that's similar in his kind in terms of his body shape and his rib. The one that I think is pretty acceptable when we get him out on the move. Another one that I like in terms of his handle, and you grab a hold of his back and he's got some shape, he's got some turn to his quarter. As we compare him maybe to the steer that beat him in class, he's not as unique and nice up through his neck and head. He gets a little rounder out of his hip, but still a quality kind of a steer. Functional in his type, but yet still has some show ring eye appeal. I'll take one look at these three real quick and we'll pick a reserve. But congratulations everyone on a great set of steers in the red division.
Congratulations to entry number 1440, Skylar Sturgeon of Hydro, Oklahoma. Welcome back to the miniature Herbert show on the north end of the cattle showroom. Welcome to the class. It's going to be class 31 bull calves. Elwood of Norwood, Colorado. Tag 117, Cannon Buckner of Wolford, Texas. Tag number 120, Cheyenne Cashdollar of Hempstead, Texas. Tag 186, Karen Miller of Lusk, Wyoming. Class 10, Smoke Division, Junior Market Steers, please be ringside. Class 10, Smoke Division, ringside.
On the steer side, as we start the smoke or the Charolais Cross Division, good class to lead off with, and I think sure a nice individual to start the show. Really an eye-appealing calf that has tremendous shape. Really expressive down his top. You get your hands on him and he's real good behind his shoulder in terms of shape. He's got enough condition. He's a steer that's long-sided and clean-made. I think when you set him in motion, he gets out and he reaches pretty well off both ends. He wants to get a little tighter in his pasture and maybe drop his pins at times. But to me, he's a pretty easy place to land in this class. The gray steer in second and third, I think, is close. The dark gray steer is big ribbed and real heavy structured, and I like that about him. He gets a little coarser about his shoulder and weaker down his top line. One that just like to smooth him up through that region, and gets a little straight in his shoulder as well. But you set him in motion, he's a calf that can get out and walk with some length to his stride. Smooth him up through his shoulder. I think it gets a little closer here on the front end. The yellow steer is a nice calf in third. He's one that's really balanced when you get him out on the profile. He gives up 150, 200 pounds to several of the other calves out here, but he's a shapy, good-looking calf. Another one that can get out and move with some length to his stride. Maybe walks outside of himself a little bit on his front end, and we'd like to change that. A quality individual, just ran into some stouter steers that are a little farther along today. The gray steer at the end of the class, really heavy structured, nicely presented individual that's good in his lines and clean up through his upper throat. One that he's got some top in it. You get behind him, he's one that fades to the base of his quarter. He doesn't have as much shape as you read him down into his lower quarter. And then when we set him in motion, he's the most restricted steer of the class, and that's the biggest reason that he ends up where he does today.
Congratulations, your results from Class 9. Your class winner goes to tag number 120, Cheyenne Castollar of Hempstead, Texas. Second place, tag number 117, Cannon Buckner of Wolford, Texas. Third, tag number 136, Weston Elwood of Norwood, Colorado. And rounding up the class will be tag number 186, Terry Miller of Lusk, Wyoming.
Over here to round out our mini Hereford show. Again, really nice set of bulls that we've had come through the ring, especially when we think about this breed. I think there's a lot of positives out here. I think that all of these can go on and make an impact with
to get them out here. 3 very high quality individuals, very well presented as well. But I think these top 2 are really out there in terms of being good ones with a tremendous amount of quality. Subtle differences, both of them have advantages relative to the class. The yellow steer is really the good looking, big rib, bold sprung kind of a calf. It's got a huge hip in him. He handles with some top. He's adequate in terms of his finish. In terms of motion, we get him out there and he reaches, and I think he's pretty good in that regard. He has one little hole in that area. He wants to bow his hock just a little bit as he goes away. If we could change that about him, I think that one would just be deadly, and I think he's still a very high quality kind of a calf. The white steer in second, he is awesome on the move. As you read his hind leg and the way he can get out and go and handle it, the shape and size of his feet, another big bodied one. Really nice and smooth in terms of his handle. Beautiful in that regard. Maybe a calf that gets a little shorter through his neck. He carries a little more down in his chest. He's not quite as nice in terms of his balance when you get him out on the side view profile. Gets just a nickel short in his hip as well. But I love his rib cage. I love his hind leg, the way he sets it down. Really a quality calf and a great pair of steers there on the front end. The big yellow steer that comes with really eye-appealing and really heavy structured. One maybe that you set him in motion, and I think that's where he gives it up to the 2 steers ahead of him. He's a little straighter off his front end. He doesn't reach quite as well off of his hind leg, but a big back stout-made steer. Really a high-quality class and 2 really, really good ones on the front end.
Congratulations, your results from Class 10 of your Spoke Junior Market Steer Division. In winning your class is going to be tag number 195, Elizabeth Norwood of Midlothian, Texas. Tag number 155, Tristan Helms of Sterling City, Texas. And rounding out the class is going to be tag 100, Lady Amavisca of Yuma, Arizona. We're going to welcome to the ring Class 11 of the Spoke Junior Market Steer Division. We're looking for tag number 169, Kate Cassoon of Wheatland, Wyoming. And tag number 171, Ashley Kennedy of Santana, Kansas. This is going to be your first call for all first and second place Spoke Cattle Division winners or class winners. Please be ringside. First and second place class winners in the Smoked Cattle Division, please be ringside. Congratulations to your class winner. Tag number 169, Katie Cassie of Wheatland, Wyoming. Oh, I'm sorry. Your class winner belongs to tag number 171, Ashley Kennedy of Santana, Kansas. And your second place belongs to tag number 169, Katie Cassoon of Wheatland, Wyoming. We will now be entering our division drive of our smoked market steer cattle division. Coming back from Class 9, your class winner belongs to tag number 120, Cheyenne Cashdollar of Hempstead, Texas. The second place individual from that class is tag 117, Kenan Buckner of Wolford, Texas. From Class 10, tag number 195, Elizabeth Norwood of Midlothian, Texas. Your second place individual is tag number 155, Tristan Hines of Sterling City, Texas. Class 11 is going to be tag number 171, Ashley Kennedy of Santana, Kansas. And your second place individual is going to be tag number 169, Kate Cassoon of Wheatland, Wyoming. As our judge makes his tough decision in our smoke division, I'd like to make a reminder that Class 12 AOC, all other colors,
and there definitely has been through this division. I think we've got good steers to represent all three classes, and one class that went deep with some real quality. Calf that won the lightweights, probably as far as today in our lightweight class winners, probably one of the nicer ones that's come through. It's extremely attractive and excellent in terms of shape. I like his look. I like the shape he has down his top, the expression of muscle he has down in his lower quarter, especially when you set him in motion. Really a quality individual, and I think you get your hands on him, he's sure adequate in terms of finish. Maybe relative to one or two others, he could just be a little more flexible in the way he goes. I think he's sound enough, but he wants to tighten and get a little more rigid in terms of his hind leg and pastern at times. But really a nice individual to represent that first class. Steer that won the second class, good looking steer with a huge rib cage in him, really bolt sprung, big and stout and square out of his hip, nice set to his hind leg, one that gets out and goes and covers some ground. I think when you handle him, he's sure adequate in terms of his condition. If you're to nitpick him, he might just get a little open in his blades when you set him in motion, and he does roll his hock just a little bit. He's slightly bow-legged when you get behind him, but he's really nice in terms of the way he gets out and reaches in terms of his length of stride. Really a quality individual with a beautiful look when you get him out on the profile. A good steer in our heavyweight class. He's a little farther out there in terms of his weight in the upper 14s, but one that's massive in terms of his bone and his foot. He's got plenty of rib and muscle. He still holds that together fairly well and moves very well for a steer that's that big and that stout. You know, we compare him to a couple of others ahead of him. He's a little older and not quite as attractive through his front end. Gets a little lower in his pin set, but still a very high quality individual. So I'll show you the one that I like the best, and I think we've got a steer or two in the second place lineup that's in contention as well. But a great set of steers in this smoke division.
Congratulations, your division champion in the smoke division belongs to Elizabeth Norwood of Midlothian, Texas. We will be bringing in.
As we bring the white steer in, that was second in class, and a really good pair of steers in that class. As we said, a beautiful steer in terms of the way he goes off his hind leg. Really nice in terms of handle. Probably one of the mellowest steers that has come through. Maybe almost to his detriment as you read him down into his chest. He's got just a little more condition there than what's perfect, but still a sound structured, big bodied steer with enough shape. Here to nitpick him, he wants to roll off that front end just a little bit, but really a neat calf, or the easy feeding, good moving kind of a steer. And I think one for me, I like that pair a lot in that middleweight class. He'll be the reserve champion in this division.
Congratulations, your division reserve champion in the smoke division belongs to Tristan Hines of Sterling City, Texas. As our championship division exits the ring, we're going to be moving into Class 12, all of the colors. Class 12, all other colors. We're going to be looking for tag 190, Kinsey Neves of Albany, Texas. Tag 187, Tabby Miller of Lusk, Wyoming. Tag 105, Tatum Bales of Midland, Texas. Tag 108, Berkeley Bird of Lubbock, Texas. Class 13, you should be ringside. Just as an announcement, in the Open Cattle Show, we have a time constraint. We're going to be moving our All Other Breeds Open Cattle Show from 1:30 to 2 o'clock. Our All Other Breeds category to 2 o'clock.
steers, and I think a really high quality pair here to start off with. Yeah, that wins the class. Boy, on the stand, he is built extremely nice. Really good looking steer, got plenty of rib shape. But what I really like is he's got real shape. He's got top in him, he's got forearm, he's got some quarter. He's a big bone steer that's got some foot. You get your hands on him, he's about right. You get your hands on him and he's about right. One that I think you set him in motion. He kicks out and reaches off both ends. Maybe bothers you just a little bit. He gets a little outside of himself on his hind leg, but that's being very critical of a very high quality individual. I like the length of body and the smoothness and the nice front end and the steer in second. He's one that gets a little more upright in terms of his shoulder. He doesn't read with as much true shape as the calf that wins the class, but a nicely balanced, nice handling steer. One that I think is adequate structurally, maybe gives up a little bit in terms of length of stride. A good pair of steers to start the class. The black and white steer is huge-ended and really heavy structured. Very nicely presented steer as well. You get him out on the profile, and he's got a lot of shoulder. He doesn't balance up as nicely as the two steers ahead of him as he gets deeper in his chest and boulder up through his front end. But he's one that's sure got some quality about him and a ton of muscle. Just like to change him when you get him out on the profile. He cuts up that flank, drops to his front end, and then you get around the front of him and he's awfully wide at the point of his shoulder. A nice steer in fourth, a long-bodied calf, one that can get out and travel. I think he's sure adequate in terms of his shape. He's a little flatter in terms of his rib, and I think the big difference is you get your hands on him, he's a little bare in terms of his cover. But a good class of steers and a real solid, strong pair up there on the front end.
Congratulations to your class winner, tag 108, Berkeley Bird of Lubbock, Texas. Your second place individual belongs to tag number 190, Kenzie Meade of Albany, Texas. And third, tag number 105, Tatum Bales of Midland, Texas. And rounding up class will be tag number 187, Candy Miller of Lusk, Wyoming. We'd like to welcome to the ring class 13 of the all other color market, junior market steers. We will be looking for tag number 145, Tommy Glover of Elgin, Oklahoma. Tag number 207, Addie Potts of Wichita Falls, Texas. Tag number 138, Clay Fight of Albany, Texas. Tag number 228, Cole Van Meter of Monon, Indiana. Class 14, all other colors, please be making your way to the ring. Class 14, all other colors, please be making your way to the ring.
awesome class of steers, top to bottom, a ton of quality, and all four of these folks are doing a great job in terms of showing these steers. Really an intriguing calf to win the class. If you wanted to draw a picture of profile or explain what profile is, that steer's a pretty good explanation when you get out on the side view and look at him. Just beautiful fronted, really good in his lines. Sorry about that. A big hip steer, and I think one when you handle him, he's really smooth in terms of his finish. Now, if you want to nitpick him, there's probably more expressively muscled ones. I think he's adequate in that regard, but just beautiful in his balance, beautiful in his structure. And I guess what I really like is when you set him in motion, he doesn't change in terms of his balance. He's so good in his top line, holds himself together so well. Really nice through his shoulder for a steer that's that stout and powerful. Just an excellent calf to win the class. The steer in second is really good. And when he walked in, he walked by, you said, well, that's a really good steer. But he's a calf that maybe has just a shot more shape in terms of muscle. He's big ribbed, he's good looking, he's beautifully presented. You get to analyzing this calf, he's not quite as long through his front end. He's got a little more shoulder. He wants to get out on his front end just a little bit, but still a really high quality calf, a great pair of steers at the front end of this class. The steer in third on the stand is beautiful. Nice looking calf that's good in his lines, really nicely presented. I think where he falls apart is you set him in motion and he really wants to get outside of himself off his hind end. And as you compare him to steers on either side of him, he just doesn't have as much shape as you read him through his quarter and down his top. The young man at the end of the class has one of the really expressive heavy muscle steers out here. He's big back when you get your hands on him. He's got some body, you get behind him. He's really explosive and wide. He's one that I just wish when we set him in motion, he was a little freer as he went around the ring. He's a bit straight in his shoulder. He doesn't quite want to reach off his hind leg like he needs to. If we could change that steer a little bit in terms of his structure, we could move him up a notch or so. Really impressive in terms of his muscle. Just wish he could go a little freer around the ring today.
Congratulations to tag number 207, Addie Potts of Wichita Falls, Texas. In second place, tag number 145, Tommy Glover, Elgin, Oklahoma. In third place, tag number 228, Cole Van Meter of Monty, Indiana. And rounding up class will be tag number 138, Clay Fight from Olney, Texas. We'll be moving into our last and final class of today, which is going to be class 14, the all of the color in the Junior Market Steer Show. We're going to be looking for tag number 141, Mary Brennan of Montrose, Colorado. Tag number 194, Elizabeth Norwood of Midlothian, Texas. Tag number 217, Jake Stone of Stanton, Texas. Finally, our last and final tag number will be tag number 134, Sabrina Drager of San Antonio, Texas. This will be just a quick announcement that all of our grand and reserve champions of our divisions today in the Junior Market Steer Show, you need to be ready by 2:15 p.m. today. 2:15, your steers need to be ready. The grand champion selection will take place in the Ag Center
The calf in second, he's probably one of the widest built steers that's come through the ring today. Huge quarter, big bone kind of a calf. One that's got a little more shoulder than what's ideal for me. Gets a little bit more jammed up, I should say, through his front end, a little shorter in his neck. But just incredible in terms of his shape and power. But I think it's almost to his detriment as we read him up through his shoulder and the way he's built in terms of his front leg. A really attractive calf that the young lady has in third, and I think that's why he goes third and not fourth. He's really good in his lines. He's one that's adequate when you handle him in terms of his finish. Relative to the steers ahead of him, he gives up quite a bit of muscle, some substance of bone, but I like his balance, I like his structure. Just wish he had a little more shape and expression today. The calf behind him, I think, probably has a shot more shape in terms of muscle. He's one that gives up some balance to the three steers ahead of him. A little plainer through his chest, like to change the way he's built in terms of his hip and hind leg, but still a quality market steer, just not quite as attractive as the steers ahead of him today.
Congratulations to your class winner, tag number 217, Jake Stone of Stanton, Texas. In second place, tag number 194, Elizabeth Norwood of Midlothian, Texas. In third, tag number 141, Mary Friend of Montrose, Colorado. And rounding up class will be tag number 134, Sabrina Derringer of San Antonio, Texas. We will now be bringing in our first and second place class winners into our all other color division draw. From class 12, your first place individual belongs to tag number 108, Berkeley Bird of Lubbock, Texas. The second place individual belongs to tag number 190, Kinsey Needy of Albany, Texas. From class 13, your class winner is tag number 207, Addie Potts of Wichita Falls, Texas. Your second place individual is tag number 145, Tommy Glover from Elgin, Oklahoma. From class 14, your first place individual is tag number 217, Jade Stone of Stanton, Texas. And your second place individual is tag number 194, Elizabeth Norwood of Midlothian, Texas.
the AOC division. We get them out here, and it's really, really good. I like all three of these steers, and I could be satisfied for different reasons to use all three. And there's a steer in the second place lineup as well that I think is pretty special. So all these steers are a little different in their type and kind, but a tremendous amount of quality in all three. The yellow steer is very complete. He's one that's got some rib, he's got some muscle, he's got some bone and foot. He still presents you a nice look when you get him out here. He weighs 1339, so he's on the lighter end of these. I think, to me, all three of these steers fall into an acceptable weight range. You know, if you want to criticize him, he drops his pins just a little bit on the go, and he covers his track, but he gets just a freckle outside of himself. But that's getting very critical of a really nice calf that's very complete, very shapy, and really fresh in his makeup. A nice calf to represent that class, and I think one that you have to look at when you get him back out here. The black steer is different than the other two. Just beautiful in terms of his design and his profile. He obviously scores the most points in terms of that. He's long fronted, great in his lines, beautifully presented. He's got some bone. He's one that he handles nice. I don't know if he has quite as much shape in him as the two steers on either side of him. I think he's still got muscle, and he's sure adequate in that regard, but I don't think he's as expressive as the two steers on either side of him. But he has an advantage in terms of his balance and look. He's real true in terms of the way he tracks. Everything points forward. He doesn't get outside of his skeleton, maybe gives up an inch in terms of his stride, but I like his structured skeleton. I like the way he handles himself on the move, and just beautiful in terms of his look. The calf from the third class is pretty intriguing and quite a bit different than the one directly ahead of him. He is stout, and one to be that stout and still be that sound is hard to make. And he's one that's big boned and big footed, got a ton of muscle shape, handles it very well when you set him in motion, maybe handles his hind leg as well as any out here. He's one, as you compare him to the other two, he's got a bit more shoulder. He doesn't blend quite as nicely through his forerib, maybe not quite as attractive or youthful as you get up into his head, but still a really good individual with a lot of power, very good in terms of feet and legs. And so I think another one that you could, like I said, you can justify all three of these steers because they have enough quality. They're just slightly different in their type and kind, and I think there's a steer standing behind me that comes very close to them as well. So I'm going to one more look and show you the way I like them today, but congratulations to these exhibitors. Just an awesome set of cattle in this division. class. When we get him back out here, and he fits right in with the two on either side of him in terms of his quality. One that's got plenty of muscle. I really like his body and his rib shape. If we were to criticize him, he too has a little bit of shoulder and gets a little stilty on his front end, and he just sets a little lower in his pins maybe, or definitely than the steer that beat him in class. But I think tremendous steer, and I think you get him back out here, and again it gets tough because you've got three really good ones. I'll take a quick look at them and show you which one I like for reserve, but congratulations to everyone in this division. The AOC division was incredible, quality all the way through.
Just as a reminder, all Grand and Reserve Division winners in our market steer show today, you are required it is required that all your steers are ready and placed at 2:15 on the south end of the Ag Center between the open cattle barn. The Supreme Show will start directly at 2:30, and it will begin with the market steer selection. 2:15 is when all steers need to be ready and in place. Congratulations to Berkeley Bird with the reserve in AOC from Lubbock, Texas.
Hello, I'm Dave Allen from Nocona, Texas. I'll be judging the junior steers